Arashi suggestat injilibs to sep setlenot awa sasakwesh hamid psori kagro ano the adre kupumsh kagro ano arashi adigabs psori just anch قطاوة شواغة ختمة مختمة راشي قبلاغ نوبة فوتشاد ينتوصر خدماش مدوني بسودي قال لجغ بوبرت شوزة ستا راشي يابم شغة شاركم دلجنو نوبة لدي زغور لجغ ياش سري تقنخ باسو دوخما سيقوا بخونوش راشي سجاشو سددي خبرش سبجيس انسوخيش الحمد شكورجة متحماقو بلج دي أديك جروب أديك كلاس خرطش أزاش مست داوزر أنا قداميت دي أش بلش حرا برجيرة عرض جوبراش يتانا شبات ريز جوب دي أش بلش حرا برجيرة سسيديش ساحتر بلر نقرة قش إيدزرة ساحتر يير نقرة دوخر بصوري زخطو يتاراشي ساحتش زخوزة مشبت معه ساحتر نقرة زخوزة سسيديش دو شيكاغو مديش ساحتر بشر نقرة دش أدزة ساحتر بشقوت دوخر بصوري زخطو سم موقف سبجيس أنش ريجستراتيم شش دي بلشرة برجيرة جوبر سبجيس أنش بج سمانتيغا قنصوكويكم نبلاغة توش تخور ريجستراتيا يشعات دي يابري ديرسم توصر خيرة قاقوات يتوادر راشي ياب سبجيس أبديجم سقوبة أنشري سبجيس أنش سيغوغات زنقر ريجستراتيم يشعار قاقوانوت راشي أبديجم دا غنش سسيديش عرزش أبتيخواوا يتانا سيغوغات خط يابراو قاقوار يجري زنقر قاقوجنوت دي يتوانري ديرسم دي يتوانري ديرسم هاوستمي توصر تورا قاقوات توصر تورا قاقوات يتانا بنمش تو يش قصويتري قز ثقواش قز مستا يجاغو خوات قمقونا مش حتشا راشي بصوري زكاتو أرسك بوصرة تورا بوصرة زرة أبقوديزو بروسنت دي يتوانري كلاسم قاقوات أبش حتشا كوابجو سيسي كوابرش أبش حتشا دي يابري كلاسم يابم شغل زغور introductions شاش مراشا سيتسر مراشا سي خبار جانتيمش مراشا تكودا سيستيمم ستكودا ميثودم قد سبب انه مبديجم انا عرب سوري زفتشانا وج سجسات ناخذ سشعر بشقوتش من نطق جاوا دي ديرسر تش ادزنش سيغوم دي كلاسوهم شش بصوري يجريحات دي سيستيمر يجري أبن مش صحت نقوة نخديزو بصوري ختاش أبخديزو وفأغو يجريحات دي سيستيمر يتانا أبن وج زلينا تقتاتشم تقنوج تدي وسط أبرا سارة براندن زغور ما TPRS مشش صار منتور مكودو كجار دي جوبم يتصحى عشان جش أجي قضاتات مست سقز قرآت أبديجم يا ميثودم تقوس زبغش أنا وخويمة لدي دكتاتشم إجواب خنوش وري زغور جوبا ما بتيغواوا تقوس أبيغا بسطة أنا وخويمة سچحاتشمي مخبار وجبر ستن ديجي زغور improvisation جبن خويش عرزش سچحاتشمي نحلمتو زربشنو مخشحاتشا عرز زاك وراش يتوانم سچحاتشمي زغور أمغرو وما أبساثر كونسيبتر نقوة وحنخويش إشانريري أوستمي ميثوديكر مديجم داو زرلاجر ما بودراش بجيس أنش زغور شخيخما زغور جبما زغور ويجما أكي بسوري وي أقلم يغلج وي أقلم يغلجما neurons fire in your brain آخر نخبدو يغوفن وخيمة نخوابجو نخوديزو نخبسنشو زغور جبان خويش زغور قبور أنخويش داو زراشر مسيستيمر مبخدو بساشو خاتقو يغوفري جبا فانوش أبساشو خار ست حيش يأش subject object لغول أراشي يابم شغو وجبان خوير يا السوبجكت يا الأوبجكت يا الغول إشري يتانا yes no جواب يتنخويش Yeah, hama, jawab yaptin kwesh. Yes, no, either or, kujar. Yeah, that can napok what's 5 W words teach. Chet, sit, sich, hacha, apodu, sich. Arashi, zipsatla, chetkin kwesh, yetana zipsatla jawab, whoopshin kwesh. Psomi, what we classum shush, obji an kwesh, sit ye jawab. Arashi systemer, yetana, a omer minimum whoopships, wauven kwesh. Ar tsukum ya akalan dak yagalajanos. Arab stories of an the woods yetana arguero mopsal mo whoopsukam shush whoopskan kwesh. Awastemi psalu ha psom juapu kweyans. Itana randomization and kwesh. Ar zapachan the woods describe the situation Japan kwesh wauvari that can it we classum shush whoopsun kwesh. قجاء وبسالة ست مخبارم is ست teacher مخبارم أراشي أراش أراش أسيستيمر that needs to be scripted very tightly, and I did not script it very tightly. Arashi سسيبلش حكلاسم س I was in depression, you know. I feel like I did a terrible job. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a native speaker.
It's always like that, Janti. You just have to practice, you know.
Yes.
It's even me. I mean, when you gave me an opportunity to teach, even though I taught these things forever, it's just hard, especially in your own native language. So aham zgorham zgoriazo, inuqaham zgoriazo, zikhahash psalha gorhar, inuqaham zriazo, ari guksawadu, so these are heritage speakers, yeah? You call them heritage speakers, not foreigners.
Yeah.
So heritage speakers with varying degree of proficiency, language proficiency, right?
Yeah.
Misas ja презентациям мржалаш шалем ицарнарт шара апсалаухаитм араш я памстра презентация the class take what dashara. Well, half of the first class was presentations and stuff like that, introductions. Our joapit how whoopsit zadraja hatsit itana psalhu zbwups siguramcha zadrajas zadlach jabs sasora satit jiri abkhata hanta how misa psalha hapsori misa derse buchma mismaha noba zadrajas shpama ari khunush itana sa sagupshipsa misa suffix prefix ha qhagajinwe qha dawser qhabel dijinwe sara highlight qhagashin arash qhagashin was mis dawt sa hawamr sala sir tasara please ya sufja qhagashin we mer suffix sala salam the same as sa, the prefixes. Prefix sa, s, suffix and prefix. So they have idea of the general structure of this language, that it's prefixes and suffixes, right? That's what we're going to work with. Sa, si, and then also there is a little change. Sa, s, and sa, si. Sa, sara, sira, those are two prefixes that we use with different sentences. Sa, sajadas or sa, sajabs, sa, sitar, lidash. What else? Mir as an introductory word. Mirsit, mirchat. I think we can play a little bit, maybe introduce inanimate object, something like ps, av. Mirsit, mirpsavs, mirchat, mirnarch. Well, maybe it will come later on. جسنا شوية جري زغور حق زت واب سوش هرخب وحي مسا مستم فادو زرزجت أمادو واو سس جالش سس خجابس سوش هرخاتو أود مستفغاز جا أرغ زت for example سس با واو باج you introduce سوش هرخ animals باج دغز مش with pictures, right? And then they will choose like and try those suffixes again, wow, and prefixes, okay? Wow, baja, how you know, with different words, they I think want to try not just jabs, but with sort of different words, try that structure of adding suffixes and prefixes. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it would be more fun, they say, huh?
How will that go with the story?
Well, it's like a little diversion. It's not, it's like to practice the grammatical structure of the, you know, first of all, learning the animals. It's just like a digression, I guess. Yeah, a little adding some stuff, because you talked about, you know, we can dress it up a little bit, add some stuff. I don't know, what do you think about that? Yeah,
let me share my screen, and let me also share some of the feedback, and let me add on what you were. I agree with everything you just said. So for Zali and for Azi, we had a Wednesday class, and then we had a Saturday class, and I am feeling more comfortable, and I'm also feeling more that the students are understanding, and the feedback, they're enjoying it. That's the bottom line feedback. I spoke with Brandon, and I spoke with Craig, who's our mentor for Saturday, and Craig is the CEO of TPRS Books. He is the most qualified, other than Blaine, who's the originator. He is probably one of the most qualified teachers of this method.
By the way, Janti, he did really well. He was the foreigner, the only foreigner, right, in that group, like real foreigner. And the way he was, you know, pronouncing and answering questions at the end, I thought he did really, it worked. Yeah, basically. I was listening to him. And
he also, by the way, to learn how this system works and to mentor all of his teachers. Yes, Azzy, I'm recording. And to mentor all of his teachers, he audits French, German, Italian, Arabic, Cantonese, Mandarin, Japanese, and Portuguese, Spanish, and he uses those languages when he experiments to teach as well. Azina, yes, I recorded the class as well. I'll share the link. So yeah. So first, let's talk about the positive approach of the method. Then let's talk about why it's not working 100% the way we want it to. And then I'll touch upon the issues that Lydia was sharing, and I'll share some feedback from the slides. So the method is designed to get your brain wired in real time. And their research, they've been producing research. The method's been around for 30 years. They've been advertising it for 20. They've been producing research for 10. And the data on their research suggests that after 50 hours of classes, you are at a A2, B1 level with a high degree of confidence. And after 100 hours of classes, you're at a B2 level of confidence with a high degree, a B2 level of fluency with a high degree of confidence as well. Okay, all the data comes out on that. And that's where we want to go, right? Where we want to go is to be able to say, here's a class, it's 90 minutes a week. We're going to meet 10 months out of the year. That's 50 hours. And you now have a moderate, low intermediate, high beginner, A2, B1 level of fluency. You can speak to natives. And if you want to continue, there's a way to do that. That's my goal. I think that's a pragmatic goal. I'd be surprised if anybody does not like that goal. And that's the goal that I actually asked everybody, why do you want to learn? And they all say that they don't want to read Zawurnalo. They don't know who Zawurnalo is. They want to speak to people in everyday common speech, right? So that's consistent with what they want to do. And so the ability to say, hey, it's, I don't know, September to December, and then January to May or June, it's 90 minutes a week. That's going to give you 50 hours. And then in addition to that 50 hours, you can, if you want, supplement your class to go on and do reading or whatever. That's perfect. That's perfect. Once a week, 90 minutes, boom, you're done, right? That does not exist for most languages. It certainly does not exist for ours. So that's where we want to go. Now, the TPRS method was originally designed, and I'm going to tell you a little dirty secret about TPRS. TPRS used to be called Total Physical Response. It was called the Total Physical Response System, and it was pioneered by a gentleman by the name of John Rassius. I used to say Rassius. I met John. In fact, I paid an arm and a leg to go to his workshop at Dartmouth. I brought Sufyan with me, and we did a weekend workshop in John Rassius's Rassius Institute, and we were taught his methods. And they are physical. They are draining on the teacher, but you learn, I'm going to say this, you learn even faster and better than you learn with Craig's method, with what they call their version of TPRS. Now, John Rassius passed away a few years ago. I'm still in touch with his daughter. They have adapted their method for interaction, for Zoom, basically. I do want to audit one of their classes. You guys know I'm still learning Russian. I do want to audit one of their classes and see what it feels like. I just haven't had the time. But Blaine Ray, his version of TPRS, they started the same and then they diverged, and they both used the term TPRS. But it was designed for a classroom environment, right? So it was designed to be at a whiteboard and to be marking things up, to look the students in the eye. And it works great with 6 or 8 students. It can scale to 8 or 12. I've been in physical classrooms with Blaine, and what they do is they start with this story, and they're masters of improvisation. So Zali, what they do is the way they construct the story is they are the first character in the story. They then introduce parallel characters, and the way they typically do it is by making students characters in the story, because then the student has to get their mind into it. Okay, so that's the way this method was designed. During COVID, they completely redesigned the method. They not redesigned it. They gave it an overhaul for Zoom in the land of Zoom, right? So it's still being pioneered. That's number one. Number two, they feel pretty good that they can get you to an A2, B1, maybe B2, but no one knows what to do after that level. TPRS probably won't cut it anymore. So how you go to full native-like fluency, TPRS won't do it. Number three, they typically don't deal with classes as large as ours. I have the largest class of any of their instructors by a factor of 3, right? So we are doing some things that are not part of their playbook, and I'll explain them in just a minute. And then the last fact is that most of our speakers are heritage speakers, right? So regardless of whether they think they speak Circassian or not, everyone knows something. Everyone knows something. And then actually I lied, there's one more fact on top of that. Some of what they know is different than what we're teaching them. It's not wrong, but it's different. So they may use hammam instead of toilet, an Arabic and Turkish word. They may insert a loan word without realizing it. They may get confused when we say bzaja and they say bzaga, or when we say sarqam, or when I say sarqam, they may know something. Or we have Abazak people, we have Adigayan people. This was a conversation that came up a few times, and unfortunately for me, all my relatives in Syria are Abazak, so I know the differences between the dialects. So, you know, somebody was like, well, we say sarab instead of sarqam. So we say qam, they say up, right? So there's all these little things that they almost have to unlearn so they can relearn. So those are all the ways in which things are different. The other thing that popped up, I'm just going to say this to this group. I never thought I would experience this personally, and I'm not ridiculing it at all, but I never thought I would experience it personally, and I never thought I would experience it with Circassians, but at least one person wrote me directly and said, I'm non-binary, so I don't identify as a boy or a girl, and it makes me uncomfortable when that's part of the conversation. Okay, you know what? I'm not here to judge, but that's why, to Lydia's point, it is valuable to introduce the concept of human versus non-human, especially because there's Sept versus Sept that did come up in conversation, you know. So these are all the things that we're hearing. And what I'm experiencing is that I've never really taught any formal classes before. So I'm learning how to be a good teacher. I'm coming up with a lesson plan for every lesson. And for every lesson, the advice that Brandon gave me and that also Craig gave me is that I should be thinking about what's the minimum chunk to be learned. Okay, so the minimum chunk to be learned is what piece of the story do I want to walk away with and say, my students should know this part of the story and all these vocabulary words. And theoretically, that should be a slide or a series of slides. And then I'm still trying to learn this in my head a little bit. So the way that I've worked it out in my head, there is a learning tool called a close deletion, CLOZE. Basically, you remove a word from a sentence, and then you say to the student what word is missing. So really the way that their method works is you can think of every sentence, you remove a word, and then you say, tell me what word is missing with a yes, no answer. You do that so many times. So let's say a sentence is 3 words long. You remove the first word, you remove the second word, you remove the third word, and you keep randomly asking people, and you don't do it in that order. And then you use a permutation of that sentence that's not actually written on the screen, like sasitsar. Sasitsar is not written on the screen, but there's enough information on the slide for somebody to be able to construct that sentence. So you remove all those and you do yes or no, either or what, who, what, when, where, why questions. And then once everybody as a class feels that they've got a handle on this and we want group interaction, then you go individually and you say, now give me a full answer. Now the challenge with 33 people, roughly 30 people, with 30 people is we can't do that. Well, that's not true. I thought we couldn't do that, but I found out that it could go faster than I thought. So the other kind of innovation, and the students really like this, is I'm making liberal use of breakout rooms. So what I've done now, instead of saying, let me go around the room, what I do is I say, if there's 30 people, I'm going to create 10 breakout rooms in Zoom, take a screen snapshot of the slide that has all the information on it, and then go practice. And the feedback was very positive. They like being in a smaller group, but also I like making them build a sense of community with each other. So they get to know each other over time. And frankly, it gives me a break. It gives me a break from all the teaching. So that's kind of that. But then what we notice is, the other thing we noticed, the feedback overwhelmingly from students, from Brandon, and also from Craig is that, learning to speak and learning the alphabet are 2 very difficult tasks. And so we should break them apart. Okay. So what I said to everybody is that we are going to use transliteration. And I'm super clear. This is not the Circassian alphabet. It's not a replacement for this. You guys know there's lots of bozos in our community that I don't have to get into it. So I was super clear. This is not a replacement. This is a starting point. We are going to learn how to read and write. It is super important to learn how to read and write. So we just started off with the transliteration. And then because a lot of people did say there was a lot of scary stuff with the Cyrillic, I started off super. So you're already seeing Zali and Azinat. This is very different than what we put together, right? So we start off with Mirsh Alas, right? So we introduce 2 statements because now that we have 2 statements, we can, and this is why originally when Hamid said it didn't work for the method. We need 2 sentences. So now we can start asking questions. So so now I introduce more information on the screen. And now I can start one by one to introduce these other concepts. And once we get to this point, now there's actually, if I really wanted to, there's probably 40 questions I could think of. And this is what I'm doing. I'm scripting them in advance. So when I get to this point, I'd say, what is Nart? He is a boy. Who is the boy? The boy is Nart. Is Nart a boy? Is the boy's name Nart, right? Then we go over here. Is Nart a boy or a girl? And then this is where it got complicated because in other classes where there's 6 or 8 people, you can say, are you a boy or a girl? But with 30 some odd people, what Brandon said is that you're now introducing characters to the story and it's too many of them to keep in touch with. So to get around this, we didn't get to this point yet. To get around this, I wanted, and also to get around this issue of, non-binary, whatever, and also human versus not human, I thought, let me introduce a new word. And, it's a big word, right? It's yin. And then I thought, okay, so in the story, I introduced myself as a robot. And I was even like, speaking like that. And people were laughing. And that's exactly what we want. So I got to this point where I said, yin, robot yins. And it's funny because we made a decision in our translation to avoid loan words, but I absolutely see now the power of loan words, because what you're doing is you are minimizing the amount of new information that needs to be processed in the brain. So I'm okay with what we've done here, right? But by using the word robot or Pepsi Cola or iPhone or whatever, you're minimizing the volume of new information. So eventually we're going to get into, this is what next week's class is going to be like. So this is my way of introducing new characters without involving all the students. This allows me to avoid this whole binary, non-binary thing. It also allows me to have a set number of characters that are running around in the story. And it's funny because I did have a chance to speak to, and I introduced this little dog named Abreg. And then you can see here, where did we go? Then we have the Terminator, right? So this is where we're going. And here's a great example of a slide. I don't know why this one came here. So you can see we introduce all these words because the students were asking for these words. So Zali, this is my long way of saying the story, it went completely away from what we scripted, but in such a positive way, And then in next week's classes, where is it? So I'm going to introduce Wonder Woman, who's a girl, right? So I'm going to say, Nart goes to Nalchik, but he's also going to go to Disneyland, right? Just to make it funny and engaging and all that other stuff. Then the other thing that I'm starting to play with, again, this is kind of an experimentation. Let me find it here. So I do all this transliteration. And then these are very busy slides. But eventually what I want to do, I'm sorry, where did it, give me 1 second and then I'll shut up. Here. So here, what I have is all the transliteration, and then I add the Cyrillic back. So this, now that they have a comfort level, they know that this word in the upper left-hand corner is sit. Now they see the Cyrillic and they can map, they know the word. Now we can add new information. We can add the letters so they can read that word. They know mir, they know this word, and now we can give them the Cyrillic. They know alas, they know dana. We can add these things. So, but the slide does look busy. So anyways, that's where we're going. It's an amazing laboratory. And so far, the students, I would say at least 5 or 10 of them have written me with such a positive response. Now it's still the honeymoon period. But that's my learnings to date, guys.
This is a great idea to reintroduce the Cyrillic like this. I like it. Yeah, because now at the beginning, I agree, it was overwhelming for people when we had 90% of them, they did not know the Cyrillic, right? So only a couple of guys who were from Homeland or Moscow. Now they can match the sound with the picture, right? So sit with letters. Right, then.
There's another approach to this, Lydia. It's really interesting. I don't know if this is a real academic term, but I've seen books on Amazon and they're called interlinear reading books. And what they do is, like, I've seen them for Russian. So what they do is they start with they give you a story, and the first paragraph, everything's in English, right? And then the first sentence. Then the next sentence, they take a high frequency word in Russian and they replace the English word with the Russian word. And then what they do is slowly over the course of the book, they keep replacing the high frequency English words, which you can guess on the meaning on. Like, I see a little boy, right? You know the word's boy. So they keep taking out the highest frequency and they replace the words in order of word frequency. So by the end of the book, it's all in Russian, but you've gotten there by slowly. So that's something we can do here as well. we could do this, or what I could do is when we get to the slide, I can just spell mir using the Circassian. And then on the next version of the slide, I can spell shalas using the Circassian, and slowly but surely we could. So there's a lot of things we could do here. There's a lot of things we could do here.
I saw something similar learning Georgian language. So they gave the whole text and then the change in letters, because Georgian alphabet is really also something looks really difficult and confusing, but that was this kind of method used as well. Well done.
Well, the Russian, the way we teach, I teach Russian. I just, finished 2 weeks of covering the alphabet is introduced, the sounds and the way they are written, everything is introduced. And then we go slowly syllable by syllable. For example, in this lesson, you're introduced to A, B, M, O, R, I don't know, these vowels and these consonants. And then they make up the sounds, ba, bo, bu, ma, mo, mu, etc. So, and then we say them, and then they introduce one word, I don't know, mama, and then the second word, papa. So first we practice the syllables a lot, like all these papo, pupa, and then there's one word, papa. And then slowly we spent on this probably 3 good weeks on, learning this alphabet, the syllables, and they introduce, slowly all these words and phrases. That's, I guess, a traditional method, right?
And there's nothing, and that's a great method, but here's the thing. You have 2 weeks, you meet what, 2 or 3 times a week, and you have super motivated kids who are in a college, in an elite college setting, who are paying lots of money for this.
Yeah.
So that's, the other thing is, I wrote this. Can you guys still see the screen?
Yes.
So this is a point. My homework that I gave to my students was, send me an email about something you want to learn how to say, and I'll work it into the class. So exactly. So somebody said, how do I say I'm sorry? So I spelled it for them. This is the best approximation I can think of for I'm sorry. And I told all the students, I said, it's not that the alphabet is hard. The sounds are hard.
Yeah.
We're all competent speakers. Maybe there's a different way of spelling this, but this to me looks scarier than seeing it in Kabardian.
In Cyrillic, they want to know right away how to say goodbye or how to say so, like thank you and you are welcome. All of this they want to know right away. So within show, we didn't introduce that one, but maybe because we are 99% heritage speakers. That's right. Yeah.
They're not people like in your Russian class. Probably they're thinking, I'll start here and I need to go here for my degree. Our people, they're thinking, I'm going to finish this class and go talk to my grandmother and impress her. I'm going to tell my dad's going to say, what did you learn? I want to give him something good. It's a different level.
Absolutely.
John, did you get any feedback about pronunciation? Do they manage? Because, I mean, for example, when I teach Harry something, after 5 minutes, he said, all my, apparatus, all in pain. It's just like how you can do this for so long. So is it like difficult for them to pronounce, or you just didn't get any feedback about that yet?
I haven't gotten feedback, but also
Senige Ankara airportum sıcağız. Polandım soğuk var.
Polandım.
Zı saat ne uç sıçatın ustamcıyma.
Thanks for joining us, brother. I did not get any feedback about pronunciation, but because of the size of the class, few people are speaking for more than a minute or 2 minutes at a time. And also 95% of our people, I would say, just based on what I heard, 80% of the people have a native accent because they've grown up with the language.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Us, because we also speak Arabic or Turkish.
I remember when I was learning, I remember having first I had pain with my muscles. And then I had headaches because I was having headaches. No, I know why. This is when I learned about neurolinguistics. John Colarusso, he's a friend of mine. John Colarusso was telling me, he says, you have headaches because you are building new neurons. You are building new neurological connections so rapidly that your brain is processing it as pain, as a headache.
Wow.
So,
okay.
So
far, really impressed.
Thank you. Thank you.
So then I wasn't dope thousand I'm sorry as well.
But it does take a tremendous amount of time because in addition to the actual class, now what I'm doing, where do I have to sit in advance and think, how am I going to script my class so that I cover all the material and it's engaging and it's fun. And it's not just scripting it, it's also the choreography. When are we going to do the breakout rooms? When do I get a break? But I have friends who are public school teachers. My hope, my desire is that once we go through all this, once I go through this 2 or 3 times, it'll be so well defined that it will be like second nature. I don't have to script it so much. And then once we identify all the unique things that our people want, this document, this deck can be codified, standardized, and then we can train. Because like I said, this is not just straight TPRS is still learning how to evolve in the digital age, and we're at the forefront because of all the issues that I just described, So I don't know, but thank you for the compliments.
Yeah, it's
так задавsit ми мрмходу жит ам зар да ходу зарштин хоми да чанма. Хомхомура мраш пура ухоквану анах нах тамам нах ходзен. Бишха так the tips хмистми южжа qshpshanu nach khor.
Fancy tana mismahab sori khjawdi atamarat. So what was, experience challenges, because it could be a very good sort of theoretical, we're recording this, right? So we can,
we're recording this.
Yeah, that's great. So we don't forget about.
Slide zaman kodi
multitasker, psachura informaция
In class, like for example, where did we go? In the class, I have to admit new people who are waiting in the waiting room, and then I have to look at who's doing what, and I have to use Zoom to make the breakout. Yeah, it's a lot. And then on top of that, where is it? I'm trying to find it again.
Right.
When people ask, in real time, I'm writing this on the screen, and I'm actually not a bad typer in Circassian or Russian, but I have to think, how am I going to do this?
Multitasking, it's like a lot for one person.
Yeah, how am I going to do this in English? I can spell these easier in Kabardian than I can in English. But it's fun. It's what I like most is that we have 50 people in this world who want to learn this language. And if nothing else, if we can get them connected to each other, that's a win. That's a huge, huge win, because that's 50 more people than we had yesterday.
Plus, this is the first time, you know, we're going to have these slides. We're going to know now next time we offer a class, let's say I will teach or Zali will teach, we'll know, you know, how to teach, and we will be able to offer classes, more classes, right?
We also, yes, absolutely, Lydia. And we also need to think about how do we organize a curriculum? I can envision a scenario where there's a speaking class, and that's basically what this is. But then there's also a reading class, right? One of the things that, so when I'm with Hamid on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays from 12 till 1, my local time, I meet with Hamid, and he's got an American polyglot who speaks Circassian reasonably well. And what he does with us is he reads a story, and then I read the story, and then the guy's name is William. He reads the story, and then he asks William what he understood, and sometimes he doesn't understand much. And then he has me translate every word in the story for William. So this is what a reading class could look like. Can you guys see my screen?
Mhm.
Okay. So yeah. So this is the name of the story is, yeah, Mez Khabar, right? So Mez Thlapem Pamajiju Thlaba Wodziptsum Yez Wumburga Psawupa Yashat Bjura Subjusima. So I'll just stop there. So he'll read it, I'll read it, William will read it. And then he'll say to William, just let's say that's the whole story. What do you understand? And William doesn't understand much. So, which is fine because he's learning. And so then what I will do, let me make this bigger still. Whoops. So then what I will do is I'll go to William. So this is what a reading course could, and I think this is great for our language. What I would do is I'd say, okay, mez, forest, chapim, the base of the forest, pamajiju, jija means far, mejiju means not far, pamajiju means not, basically it means like close. Okay, so when we put that all together, it means close. Jaba means side, but in this case, Jaba can also mean the side of a hill or the grassy side of a mountain, right? It's a slope. It can mean any of those things. Wodziptsum, right? Something about like grasslands, right? Yikwumbura, the cup. Kumbura is like a, sometimes it's a horn cup, but it just means a cup. Zikumbura, psawupa. Psawupa is a residence. It's a place of living. So now maybe this is about bees, right? So it's probably a horn, a cup, a beehive, right? Yasat, they made. Subza sima, young bees, the company of young bees. So I'll go through and translate word root by word root so that William understands the syntax and the grammar. And then once I do that, I'll say it all in English so he can get the full meaning, right? So the base of a mountain was not, the base of a forest was not far from the side of a grassy slope where there was a beehive full of, a beehive was made of young bees, right? And so that's actually really helpful for me to translate that in real time. And then it's helpful for William to understand each syllable, each word root. And then when he goes to read it, his comprehension's super high. So I could see a reading course structured like this.
Yeah, but this is advanced.
Yeah, this is advanced. This is advanced.
Is
So
William advanced? Yeah.
we have some. So I think long-term, what we need is we need a conversational class, which is basically what we have. We need a reading class. And I have content, I have proprietary content that from Optolingo, I have proprietary content that I own the licensing to. What I have there, just so you guys know, I have 25 fairy tales that are written at 150 words a piece using A1 vocabulary.
That's
So
great.
what I like about those is if I tell you it's Cinderella, you know the story. Now you can just focus on the meaning of the words. If I tell you it's the ugly duckling, you know what the story is. You can just focus on the meaning of the words. So that would be a reading class. And then I think there's also probably a writing class. And I could see, you know, we could put these all together. And I'm not going to get into it right now, but with this online language platform, this online school platform that I'm investing several $1,000s to build it. But with this online language school platform that I'm building, it will facilitate real-time classes like these, but it will also facilitate personal offline training, right? So the first thing I'm going to put up there is going to be a alphabet course, right? I've got my videos have like 40,000 views on YouTube, right? They're pretty good for art, and I have ways to make them better. So what I want to do is kind of create a combination of online and offline. I might say to people, hey, for level 2, maybe what we do is the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks of the class are going to be this transliteration, but I need you to watch my videos and complete on your own the alphabet course. And then after 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to switch over. That could be one way. So I'm thinking about all that stuff. We're still evolving.
Lydia, dreams come true.
Yeah.
About school.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah, it requires a lot of effort and of course work. It's definitely.
Well, I was to me some no quite subjects of no sa quad there sajugunus of afqam sabiva safe sports net can section so quam nabjok slap khirsi ashala ham sukurcha wa masha sasi America yidesha arashi sidna wasas nor
You're using quality time.
yeah sidna wasas nor
Zaman Jante zaman ye arkot awa ziri warkoda.
yeah. So guys, let's leave it there. I think, you know, we can take a break from some of the translation work for now because these things are evolving very rapidly. All of these classes are scheduled to end December 18th. So in my mind, I just got to survive for another 2 or 3 months.
You have enough material for now.
I think I have enough material. Yeah. Because we've translated up to, I think, 3.1. You know, we've translated up to 3.1.
And still you have to change a lot. Yeah.
But we're going to have to change a lot. So, you know, let's just leave it as is.
Cool.
Jante, can we able to join the lessons just watching the method?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. We did.
Yeah, Zelina did. Lydia did. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks. It's also great when they are in the breakout rooms, you can help them a little bit, you know, if you're a native speaker. I think it would be great if you could watch, everyone could join.
So on that note, let me say what I'm trying to do right now. I am not at all on any sort of sustainable schedule. I have 4 kids. I started a new job just 3 months ago, and it's a big job. I have my language learning business. I have this, and then I'm also doing the TPRS training on Tuesdays. And I also have classes with Hamid 3 days a week. I actually was doing other classes 3 evenings a week. This is actually a really cool thing. I was doing this with a friend of mine in Elchik. She works for the Radio Dome over there, and she wants to learn English. So this is another method that I was using. I had 100 get to know you questions, and I put them in English. In Russian, sorry. She would translate hers into English. I would translate mine into Circassian, and then she would answer the question, writing in English. And we do this in Google Docs. And I would write my answer to my question in Circassian. And then we would use Google tracked changes to correct each other's mistakes. And then when we got together 3 times a week, she would read the corrected version of her story in proper English. And then she would ask me, why is this? Why is that? And I would answer the questions. But then I would ask her, so if I said, what's the best food you ever ate? If she said pizza, I'd say, why was it good? Where did you eat it? When did you eat it? Who made it? I would drill down to get her talking because she was a little nervous about speaking. And same thing with me. I would write, and honestly, my writing in Circassian, we did this for, I want to say 8 weeks. We wanted to go for 25 weeks, but we couldn't. My writing got so much better. My typing got better. And of course, my vocabulary got better as well. And it's funny because some of the things, even she was like, we don't use Circassian to talk about modern things. We talk about Circassian with farming things, you know. So it was even interesting for her, like, what's the best advice anyone ever gave you? It's hard to say in Circassian, you know, advice. Well, anyways, so that's another thing that we could do.
And just
yeah, but you know, the best advice, I don't know. Anyways, so there's lots of, I dropped that. So where I could use a little bit of help, I would like these classes to, these meetings, I'd like them to, I don't want to lose momentum, but we are losing people, right? You see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 of us here. Sometimes there's 10. What I want to suggest is let's go back to a bi-weekly, let's go to a bi-weekly meeting where we meet every other week. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, I think I wrote this before. I'll go back to using everybody's personal email accounts, and I'll do a calendar invite so that it just stays on their calendar. I'm not sure if everyone uses calendars, but we can do that. Does that make sense to you guys?
yeah. Yeah, and also during the class time, Janti, if Zali or I join, or Azinat or whoever joins, maybe you could also give us a little bit like time that we can also teach, co-teach, sort of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because yeah, when I tried, you gave me that opportunity a couple of times. It wasn't that easy, even though it looks easy. I mean, you have to get used to it, especially because it's our language, native language, and we want to say so much more. But you know, it's like I'm teaching Russian as well as a foreign language. You have to stick to the simple things. You know, you can't go on and say blah blah. So because this is what they are learning, even though we don't speak it like that, right? So, but they are learning these step by step, right? So, so they can use it later on in advanced conversation. So, if you could give us a little bit also opportunity and slowly, so we can also feel, you know, how it feels, and when we start teaching, we will be more confident, I guess. But you are 100%. Doing a great job, so that's really great to observe and also to participate and teach, co-teach maybe, as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I have to go, guys. So.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Can I ask one small favor of you, Lydia?
Yeah.
Could you just write for me in Russian that we are going to meet every other week, and we're going to use Zoom, and we're going to use personal email addresses? And Mehmet, can you write the same thing for me? Because then when I email the group, it's complicated stuff and some people may not understand. That way it'll be in English, it'll be in Russian, it'll be in Turkish.
You mean in chat? Yeah.
Not in, email me in the chat, just whatever. Because I'm going to circulate an email letting people know we're meeting every other week, and letting people know that we're going to use personal email accounts again, and we're going to use Zoom, and there'll be a calendar invite. So I just want people to understand that fact so that there's no confusion.
This is for our group, right?
For our group, for our group.
Yeah.
Okay.
Write it quickly right now, because yeah, let's see.
So you know what? I'll put it in English real quick. Hello, everyone. Sorry I missed you. Here are some quick updates. We will meet every other week instead of every week.
Now let's get it done now, because we're gonna go do some other stuff. Might forget. Mehmet will be flying. Mehmet. Saate misiniz? Agdacığım.
Okay, there.
So in the meantime, do you want to say anything else or any other information?
No, the only other thing to add is once our learning platform is up and running, my part-time person, what she's going to do is start to advertise and publicize all of the stuff that we're doing. She's going to take clips from the videos and post them to Instagram, post them to Facebook. And what I want to do is, using this digital classroom environment, I'm going to create a free self-study class to learn the alphabet. And what I want to do is, this is what I do in my full-time job. I'm going to advertise the Sept Foundation. So I'm going to say, hey, everybody, go here, register, it's free, learn the alphabet, blah, 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 blah. And that will then get us a larger population of people, right? Right now, there's 2 million of us. At a minimum, there's at least 2 million of us on this planet. If 1% of those people are interested to learn the language, that's 20,000 people. We need to find them. We need to give them hope, and we need to connect them to each other so that we build a community. So this is the starting point to do that. And that's why, in addition to these classroom things where we're learning a lot, I need to create lots of self-study things, because even if there's 10 of us, if we were all teachers, if we did have, forget 20,000, if we had 2,000 students, we couldn't deal with it. You know? So that's why we need some self-study stuff.
Say sorry we missed you. По-русски. Вот, Залина, что мы говорим? We don't apologize. Russians don't apologize for missing anything.
Okay, so just get rid of sorry we missed you then.
You are too nice.
Just miss that part. Just skip it.
Really, like, what do Russians say? Sorry we missed you.
We blaming them, you know, for not joining, not apologizing that they couldn't join.
How about something like, it's unfortunate we didn't see you. К сожалению.
Сожалеем, что вы не смогли присоединиться, или как?
Товарищ, you have failed to show up for class.
Пойдет так, Лида? Сожалеем, что вы...
Сожалеем, что... Сожалеем. Всем привет. Сожалеем, что вы не смогли присоединиться сегодня. Вот несколько быстрых обновлений.
Thank you very much, Mahmoud.
I will send.
Yep. Thank you, Mahmoud.
Каждые 2 недели встречаемся, да?
I will correct the words. Just a minute.
Okay. Okay.
John, what to do with Nasip.org emails? Can we keep them?
Yeah, I'm not going to get rid of them.
All right. Fine.
You like using it?
Yeah.
Well, I was using it for our stuff, but
Okay.
I quite
Yeah.
like the layout and.
I will use it.
Okay. I'm not going to, I will not get rid of them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. The last one is okay, Janti.
Okay.
Right. Next class is tomorrow, yes, Jonty?
Next class is tomorrow. Yeah.
I'm gonna be late here, but I will see if I will be able to join.
It's 7:30 here. Okay, then I'll see you tomorrow. Yes, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
Within show Hogmafa.
Yeah. Futsa.
Hope so.
Oh, wait. Did you send the Russian yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I? No.
Hang on a second. Let me.
Do you know somebody in Warsaw, Adige person?
There are 2 or 3 from Russia living in the United States and Canada.
Mm.
One of the guys, he said, he's from Karacháyevo-Cherkessia, I think. He said difficulty with sounds. Yeah. So just, I guess.
Yeah, the first class he said, "Oh, I read Cyrillic, so this is going to be easy." The second class he said that was not easy. So, all right, everyone. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, goodbye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
See you. Right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wasn't sure.
Wasn't sure.